All right, so let's address something here. Option versus escrow. Or I think I've heard someone call it a binder. So in real estate, an option is typically used for a commercial transaction. So let's say that you find a property and you want to acquire it. So you put down a bit of money for an option to buy it at a later time. Maybe you need to pull your money together. Maybe you need to sell off stocks, get investors together, whatever. So you as a person who's trying to purchase it, you put in this option, you give some money to the person who's selling it, corporation or whatever, right? And there's a period of time where you have the option to buy it. And if that time period elapses, then the seller would get that money. They're going to get it either way. Whether the person who's coming in and trying to buy it buys it or not, that is an option. Again, that is typically for commercial. In most single-family residential situations, that's where after you put in an offer, you put down escrow, or I've heard it called binder. That is a bit of money to let you know that you are serious to the seller of the property, right? Typically, if stuff falls apart because of the due diligence period, I'll explain that in a second, then the person who put in the offer, who will be the buyer on this side of the transaction, will get that money back. This, of course, can be negotiated, and the laws of your state, as always, disclaimer, laws of your state, make sure you understand that, right? That is not an option. So if you, in most situations, are the seller and they have this money, this escrow, binder, whatever, that is to let you know that the buyer is serious, and you would get that money if everything goes through, if you close and the transaction goes through, right? So you should not view it as an option money. Of course, just about everything can be negotiated. That can be negotiated away. There's certain situations, like if the person who's going to buy has put in a sales contract, that means I'm going to do it, not just an offer, a full contract. All this is documented, not just verbal, right? And just for a whim or a caprice, they're like, no, I don't want to do it. That is different. But let's say you go through, because in most cases you haven't done an inspection yet, you haven't done an appraisal, the inspection comes back and there's many things wrong that you see. So you as a buyer, if it's within the period that's written and documented, within that due diligence period, right, you find that either the repairs are too much, so you go back to the seller and you say, will you pay for these repairs, or will you reduce the price? If the seller doesn't want to do either one of those two, you could in effect cancel the contract. You can always cancel the contract, right? You can always get rid of your broker, your agent, right? It's like at will. And in most cases, you should get that money back. Now, you have to actually do something about it, right? It doesn't just happen, right? If you're using a broker, they should be able to arrange that, or an attorney, they should be able to arrange that to get your money back, right? If you're just doing it on a whim or caprice, that might be harder, then the seller might try and sue you for lack of performance, just because you didn't feel like it, right? Which is up to you, but maybe you might not get that back. That can also be negotiated. Again, I've been using that word over and over again, negotiate. You can negotiate that. That needs to be written down. Who gets that money if we do not go all the way to close? So make sure that you know what's happening to that money. This would be you as a person who is going to buy it if things fall apart somewhere along the way, whether it's because of you or some other situation, right? So just make sure that you're reading, understanding, and you know what's happening, and that it is documented so that you know what is going to happen in those situations. So there you have it. Option versus escrow.